you are. And a lot of people are facing off against those kinds of challenges on a daily basis. They're facing off against, they're facing off against the things that nobody else can for them. And so what are those things that you face off against personally? What are they that you challenge yourself daily to do, that when you do these things, you know that you have the ability to make it through your challenges? And so each day we do have challenges. Each day we will have things that we will need to work through. We will have things that, nobody else will do for you. And it's going to be inside of yourself that you got to find the answer. It's inside of you that you're going to face off against every single challenge that you have. And so no matter how hard it is, if you look inside of your ability for you to be who you are, if you look inside of your ability to focus beyond what nobody else can do for you, if you can get to that place inside of yourself where nobody else is willing to go, if you're willing to face off against those kinds of challenges, then the mentality opens itself up. The ability inside of oneself starts to ask the question, can you do this? Can you achieve it? Can you become who you are on the inside? And so each day that we do that, each day that we get to that place inside of ourselves, each day that we give ourselves permission to be who we are, you're going to have a lot of challenges. Some days not everything is going to work in your favor. Some days it's not even going to be in your way. It's going to be within your mentality. It's going to be when you're willing to continue when other people would not. It's at that level that you find yourself. It's at that level where you recognize that you can do it for yourself. And a lot of people don't find that for themselves. So what are the challenges that we're facing off against? We're facing off against, what are we going to do today? How are we going to live our lives? What are we going to do on a daily basis? And the point is that the things, they're not as great as you. They're just a reflection of your own level of understanding. They're a reflection of your ability to be who you are. They're a reflection of your ability to face off against the things that nobody else can. And it's inside of ourselves that we start to ask the questions. It's inside of ourselves that we start to get to the place where our mentality has its ability, where our challenges no longer have the ability to stop us. And so each day that you succeed at that, each day that you give yourself the place to go beyond that, each day that you face off against challenges, and the challenges you face off against, you work through, because they're not going to be easy. The challenges that you're facing off against, some of you are going to have things going on that nobody else can do for you. They're going to, you're going to have things going on that nobody else wants to face off against. And it's going to be you versus you. It's going to be you versus your mentality. It's going to be you versus the ability inside of yourself to hold yourself together when other people would just give up. And it's on that page that you find who you are. It's on that page that you find who you are on the inside. It's with that kind of place that you actually grow. It's with that kind of place that you actually find who you truly are. It's with that kind of place that you are tested on a daily. And so how do you make it through those kinds of tests? When other people are not willing to continue, are you willing to continue? Are you willing to focus to that place? Are you willing to continue to grind when everything is working against you? And a lot of times the test is going to be you versus you. It's going to be with your ability to focus to that point, to get to that place where you face off against your challenges. They're yours to face off against. They're yours to embrace. They're yours to find the place, the energy inside of yourself to make it through them. And so each of us have those challenges. Each of us has your mentality. That is your challenge is to be yourself. It's to be who you are on the inside. It's to be who you are and to allow yourself to be who you are. And so do we do that? Do we give ourselves that place? Do we sit down with who we are? Do we ask ourselves the questions that nobody else will? Do we sit down with ourselves and say, "Hey, let's do this. Let's get going. Let's go ahead and see what it's going to take for us to overcome our challenges." Because when you do that for yourself, when you give yourself that place where you have what it takes, where you see that nothing has the ability to stop you, that you focus beyond it, that what you have going on inside is greater than what's going on the outside, then the ability to overcome your challenges starts. The ability for you to have a mentality to go beyond those kinds of challenges, to have a place inside of oneself to where one's focused to the point where the reflection radiates outwards. And what does that mean? What does it mean to focus to that point? What does it mean to get to the place inside of yourself where nobody else will? How do you start to study yourself? How do you start to get to that point inside of yourself where nobody else will? And how do you do it for you? A lot of people, they go to school, they go to a job, they go to a profession, they learn a skill, and they don't spend the time on themselves. They don't spend the time on their mentality. They don't spend the time on their ability to be who they are already inside. And so when the challenges come, when the people search them out, when you're being seen as if you have the capability, if you have the ability to be who you are, it's with that all of a sudden the qualifications show up. 80% of the time it has to deal with the ability to believe in yourself. Has to do with the ability to sit down and to try and to work through challenges, like the ability to able your mind. And so how do you start to able your mind? Where do you start to able your mind? When do you start to able your mind? Because those are the types of questions you got to ask yourself daily. And so when we do that for ourselves, when we write this stuff down, we truly put it in front of ourselves, we truly start to manifest that kind of light, we start to manifest that kind of being, then we get into the place where our mentality is important. And so each day that we focus to that place, that we get to the place where what we write down is important, where what we put in front of ourselves is important. Each day that we give ourselves that place called you, that spot called you, that level of mentality where you continue to put yourself in a place where you focus to the point on what is going on inside. Because a lot of people, they neglect that. They neglect themselves. They neglect that person inside of them. They don't want to get to that point where they are who they are. And the question is why? Why do you not embrace your ability for you to be who you are? And so, in school we write down our goals, we write down our stuff, and who's writing it down on a daily? Who is reading things that are putting their mentality in place, and who's putting themselves in a place where nobody else can? And so each day that you face off against your challenges, each day that you go through the things that nobody else can for you, then it ain't against somebody else. It's not for somebody else. It's you versus you. And so if we give ourselves that place, if we give ourselves that kind of time to sit down with ourselves and to start to ask ourselves the questions that nobody else will, if we truly sit down with ourselves at that point, if we get into the place inside where the depth of ourself is us facing off against our challenges, where even breaking inside is to the mentality, it's breaking to the ability for you to be you, it's to be who you are even when you're failing, that you're still being yourself, that you're succeeding inside. At that point you are succeeding even when you're failing. And so are we putting ourselves at a place where that is happening? Are we putting ourselves at a place where we're giving ourselves that kind of challenge where what we face off against we overcome? And so each day we do this, we give ourselves that kind of permission, that we get into the challenges that we face off against, that you start to see things working for you, that you start to work through the things that nobody else can for you. Each day that you do that is a victory. So if you're hearing what I'm saying, if you're on that page, if your energy is in place, if your mentality is in place, if your ability for you to be yourself is there, let it build. Let who you are inside grow. Let it manifest. Let it be something so great that we all see you as a reflection, that we all see you as an ability. Let it be who you truly are on the inside. And so, how do you focus to that point where it takes you, where you don't have to stop being yourself, where you don't have to stop being who you are on the inside, where what you face off against, you have the ability to make it through. Each challenge that we work through, each thing that we don't allow things to stop us, that we don't allow the mentality to have the ability to stop who you are. Each time that we get down to ourselves to that point where what is going on inside is greater than what's going on in the outside. And so yesterday I was reminded, as I was talking to a person who had a knee injury, and they were telling me that when they walk, when they get out there and they walk, that their knee starts to, feel like it doesn't hurt anymore. And so they have to focus past the pain. And so what are the pains that you feel today? What are the things that nobody else can do for you? What are the challenges that you can work through? Can you make it through your own challenges? Can you get to the place inside of yourself where you are you? And so each day that we do that for ourselves, each day that we get to that place inside of who we are going to face off against things that nobody else can. And so each day that we do that for ourselves, each day that we get to that inside of ourselves, we got to ask ourselves, what questions is it? What is it that, what are the things that you could ask yourself, that if you did these things every day, if you got to that place inside of yourself every day, if you focus to that place, and those are the things that we should be doing daily. Those are the things that we should be working through daily. Those are the things that nobody else can do for you. And it's inside of that you got to focus. It's inside of that you got to put yourself in that place. A lot of people say, "Oh, if I could live in your shoes." Well, each of us have our own pair. So each of us have our own challenges. Each of us have our own mentality. And so if we walk in our own shoes, if we start to study ourselves, if we start to get down with what's going on inside, if we focus beyond the challenges, if we truly get down with who we are, then the mentality starts to radiate outwards. And so, what is that mentality? What is that place that you are inside of you? What is it that makes you tick? What is it that if you had to do anything every day, what is that something that you would do every day? That if they didn't pay you, you would still do it. If they didn't give you the ability to go to that point, you would still become it. And so, are we doing it for ourselves? Are we getting to that place where our vibrations are going past the pain, where we're being honest with who we are? And so we see across the face of the planet a lot of people that have done that. They have taken their mentality to a place that nobody else can. They have taken their ability to be who they truly are to a place where it doesn't matter. You know, a lot of people gauge one's success in wealth. You know, when is the gauge on the whole being? When is the gauge on what you believe about you? Place where we're focusing beyond our own challenges, where we're going to the point inside where people know us for who we are. And so how do you start to get there? What does it take for you to get there? What is the challenges that you face off against that only you can? And so a lot of people, they ask that kind of a question. They ask that kind of a place inside of themselves. They get to that place where they're focusing to the point where the challenges that they face off against are not greater than they are. Because each of us are going to have challenges. Each of us are going to have things that we work through. Each of us are going to have a place inside of ourselves to focus. And so, are you focusing when other people aren't? Are you focusing when other people can't? Are you getting to the place inside of yourself where only you can go? And so, how do we get there? How do we get inside of ourselves to that point to where nobody else can? You know, when do we get there? And so, are we able to bypass our own challenges? Are we able to go through things that nobody else can for us? Are we focused to the point where we have what it takes? And so each day that we do that for ourselves is a victory. Each day that we get down to the challenges that nobody else can for you, each day that you go beyond what nobody else can, and you sit down with yourself and you focus through the things for you. And so inside of that is where we find ourselves. You know, a lot of times we rely on other people until we search and we find it inside of ourselves, until we find it inside of our mentality, until we find it inside of who we are. And so each day that we do that for ourselves is how we start to get beyond our challenges. And a lot of people don't seek that out. They don't seek out that level inside of themselves. They don't seek out that place. And they don't seek out that purpose to be who they are. And so when do you ask yourself that type of a question? When do you seek out you? When is it enough to be yourself? When is it enough to be who you are? When is it enough for you to focus to that level to where your energy flows because you're being you? And so that's where energy readings come in. Come in with the understanding of your energy. They come in with the understanding of your being. And so when we look at the different energies, we look at the different combinations, and we're not surprised when we see somebody with a red energy doing construction. We're not surprised when we see somebody with a orange energy in acting. We're not surprised when we see somebody with a yellow energy teaching. We're not surprised when we see somebody taking care of people with a green energy field. And so exactly how it works through the depth perception, it works through the voicing of oneself, the ability to use all of your energy inside of you to understand yourself, to be on the page with you. And so what page is that? What page do you go through? What place do you go on a daily basis that nobody else can? And that is where we ask ourselves the questions. That is where we get down with what nobody else will. It's when we focus to that point where nobody else will go. And so each day that you do that for yourself, each day that you give yourself that place where nobody else can, when you write stuff down, when you put it in front of you, when you face off against your challenges, when there's no longer a pain inside of you because the reflection radiates light outwards because your level of focus is in place, each time that you focus to that point where you give yourself the ability to be who you are, where the challenges that you face off against are not greater than you are, that is when you overcome them. And a lot of people face off against those challenges. Another place that people face off is in the gym. When you believe that you can do it beyond the ability for you to do it, when you want to lift beyond your body weight, when you want to push yourself to a point where other people won't go, when you're willing to continue even if it's just you in front of a mic, when I saw an Eric Thomas where there was nobody in the crowd and there was nobody on. There wasn't even 20 people watching the video, but he was still preaching it. He was still putting it out there. He was putting it in a place. He was putting it in a mentality. He was doing a vibration. He was radiating an understanding, because it is inside of ourselves that we are free when we do the things we love to do. It is inside of ourselves that we become who we are. It's inside of ourselves where we use our skills. It's inside of ourselves where we become our challenges. And it's inside of ourselves where we overcome our own challenges. And so are you overcoming your challenges? Are you putting your mentality in a place where it doesn't matter how many people are listening, where what you have going on inside of you is greater than what goes on around you? Vibration, the focus starts to become a tool. It's with that kind of vibration that manifestation starts to become an ability. It's with that ability inside of ourselves starts to work, and that the challenges that we face off against start to become overcome. So, how do we become that kind of a person in this world? How do we be who we are inside? How do we sit down with our challenges and you give yourself a little bit of time each day? When you do that for you, when you do that within you, when you get to that point where you are focused beyond it, when you're focused beyond your challenges, where you are truly who you are on the inside, when you do that for you, then the energy starts to flow. Then the ability for you to become that writer, for the ability for you to become that singer, the ability for you to be who you are on the inside starts to light up. The ability for you to face off against the things, the ability for you to speak your mind, the ability for you to be in positive places. And it's only when you let those things that aren't meant for you move out of the way that the things that are meant for you move in the way. And so that is a place where you focus to the point where you achieve it, where you focus to the point that nobody else is willing to go. And it's at that level that you overcome challenge. It's at that level where you become who you are on the inside. It's at that level where you give yourself that kind of permission to be who you are. Each day that you face off against challenges is one day closer to enjoying your journey. So if we could see the challenges yet as the ability for us to succeed, I've heard a lot of people talk about, training the mind. You really can train the mind to overcome the challenges that you face off against. You can train the mind to the point where it no longer has an ability to stop you from being who you are. And a lot of us disable that mind. We disable ourselves. We stop ourselves from being who we are. We stop ourselves from going through our own challenges. We stop ourselves from focusing to the point where inside of who we are is worth it. It's on this page that we find ourselves. It's on this page that we find that we're worth it. It's on the able mentality, the ability to focus to the point where the universe has the ability and that you find who you are inside. It's at that point where you find the ability for you to let yourself be who you are. It's when you find the ability for you to be who you are on the inside that the manifestation starts to radiate. It's at that point where you become a light in the universe. It's at that point where you focus to the place that only you can go. And so where is that place inside of you unless you give yourself the time to study you? If you ask yourself a question on a daily, what is the question that you ask yourself on a daily basis? How do you start to get to that place where what you have inside is worth it? And so each day that we get down with ourselves, each day that we get to the place where nobody else can go, each day that we face off against these types of challenges, then we find ourselves. Then we find who we are on the inside. Then we find our place inside is worth it. And so, are you focusing to that point? Are you giving yourself that place? Are you getting to the place inside of you where you utilize what you have, where what you face off against is yourself, where you go to that place where nobody else can go inside of you? And we have seen people across time that have achieved that place. So we know it's possible. We know it's there. We know that when we focus to that point where we're using what we have inside, and we focus to that point where what we have inside is greater than what's going on around us, when we give ourselves that place, that our tools start to work, that our abilities inside of ourselves start to overcome. And so each individual is worth it. Each individual is worth it. Each challenge that you face off against is worth it. Each thing that you want to do, each place that you want to go, each thing that you ask yourself on a daily basis is worth it, because you're worth it. And so, are we getting there with ourselves? Or are we letting other people take control of our day, take control of our week, take control of our mentality? Are we able to go beyond our own challenges to see our own path, our own journey, our own purpose? And how do we get there? When do we get there? What does it take for you to get to the place where you want to go? A lot of people stop themselves from their own dreams because they don't put themselves in a place where their mentality has a purpose. They don't put themselves in a place where their mentality gives them the ability to be who they are. And so when we do that for ourselves, when we give ourselves that kind of a place, where it takes you versus you. It truly takes you being who you are on the inside. It takes you being who you are to the point where nobody else will, to the point where other people would just give up, where you are truly facing off against your challenges. And if you can do that for yourself, if you can give yourself that place to be who you are, to open your mind beyond your own challenges, then you start to study the internal path. You start to study yourself. You start to sit down with who you are on the inside. And it's a lot of times we feel like the world is crushing us. A lot of times we feel like giving up. And a lot of times we think that we can give up. It's when we are willing to work past it that we find it inside of ourselves. It's when we search inside of who we are. It's when we go to that point where the mentality inside of ourselves is worth it. And I see it. I see these people who watch the videos, and I would enjoy the messages and the chat and the comments that you guys enjoy, and that the places inside of ourselves that you go, because you are important, and it's not to nobody else. This isn't a battle versus anybody else. It's never was. It was you on your path. It was you on your journey. It was you being who you are on the inside. It was you facing off against your challenges. It was you asking yourself the question on what you like and dislike, and what you consider positive and negative for you. And it's inside of you that you are, and nobody else can do that for you. Nobody else is going to be able to live your path. Nobody else is going to be able to live your purpose. They're not going to be able to recognize that you have what it takes inside of yourself. It's going to be up to you to do it for you. And so, are we doing that for ourselves? Are we giving ourselves that kind of place where the knowledge inside has the time to mature? The knowledge inside has the place to mature. The knowledge inside has the purpose to mature. And so each day that we face off against those kinds of challenges, that we get to the place where we're focused beyond those kinds of challenges, that we have what it takes to get down with ourselves, is a victory. It's really when you give yourself that place to where you overcome them, where you get to the place where you don't allow anything to stop you from being who you are. It's when you give yourself that kind of place where you overcome those kinds of challenges. It's going to be up to you. It's going to be inside of you. It's going to be when you want to do it. It's going to be when you're ready to do it for yourself. It's inside of ourselves to where we become who we are. It's inside of ourselves where other people start to see, and they start to listen to a mentality, and they ask themselves these questions. What kind of place brought me to this kind of fear? How do I overcome this kind of fear? What inside of yourself can help you to overcome your challenges? Can you focus to that point? Can you get to that place inside of you where you are truly who you are, where what you are facing off against does not have the ability to stop you, does not have the ability to hold you back, does not have the ability to stop the person that you are inside? And it's inside of that level of focus that the execution lays. It's inside of that level of focus that you get to the place where you overcome your challenges. And I realize that we all need that kind of mentality. We all need that kind of place inside of ourselves. We I'll need that person who says, hey, come on, let's get back up. And it's got to be you. It's got to be inside of you. It's got to be for you. It's got to be when you're ready to do it for yourself, when you're ready to get down with that part inside of you. And so how do we get to that place where nobody else is willing to go? You know, where your knowledge takes you past your fears, takes you past your pains, takes you past your the things that, you know, the fears and the emotions. What page is past that page? When do you start to see it inside of yourself as that page? When do you start to connect your breath and everything that happens in your daily to yourself, to who you are inside? And so, are we giving ourselves that place? Are we getting to the ability to focus to that point where what we have going on is worth it? And so, are we able to do that for ourselves? Are we able to get down with our own challenges? Are we able to get to the place where nobody else will go? And that is you and your challenges, you and your mentality, you and your knowledge, you and your story, you and your process of being who you are on the inside. And so each day that we do it, that we do that, that we give ourselves that place, that we sit down with who we are, that we face off against the things that nobody else will, that we get down with the person inside of ourselves, that we truly sit down with who we are inside, is a manifestation. It's a being called you. It's the challenges that you faced off against, that you started, that, you know, you started this journey one day. You started this journey. Are you on that page with your journey? Are you on that purpose inside of yourself? Are you asking yourself the questions that nobody else can? Are you getting to the place where nobody else will go? Are you going through the things that nobody else can do with you? And so a lot of times we try to help out. A lot of times we try to seek out other people instead of seeking out ourselves. At what point do you seek out you? At what point do you say to yourself, I can do this? At what point do you say to yourself, I could become this? At what point do you focus to the place beyond your challenges? At what point do you give yourself permission to be who you are on the inside? And so focus to that place, focus to the ability for you to be you. And so each day that we give ourselves that, we find ourselves in a place where we're waking up with a reason. We're waking up with a purpose. We're waking up with a set of challenges to overcome today. A set of challenges to overcome in ourselves. And it's not versus anybody else. It's going to be you and your challenges. They were for you. They weren't meant for somebody else. They were meant for you to be who you are on the inside. They were meant for you to recognize that you have a place inside of you, that your purpose is there, that your path is there. Is when we focus to that point where what we're utilizing is there. It's when we focus to that point where what we go through is there. It's when we get to the place where nobody else will go, that we start to overcome these kinds of challenges. And so we are live. There is the ability, if you guys want to reach out, there is multiple ways to reach out to me. We can get a mentality. We can face off against your challenges. We can get to the place inside of ourselves where what we're asking ourselves is, can we overcome our challenges? I do see you guys around the world searching and watching the videos. I see you guys in the place in which you guys are seeking out this, and you know it's talking magnitude into the ability in which I see people reaching out. I see And I'd like you to start to make yourself known for those who watch these videos. I'd like you to start to recognize that you can reach out on Motivation, Meditation, Inspiration, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope. And it's here for you. It's inside of that place inside of you that, you got to seek out you. Nobody else is going to do it for you. They can help you, but you will always be on your path. You will always be on your journey. As when we recognize our own journey, it's when we recognize our own path. It's when we recognize our own purpose that, is beautiful. And all of you are beautiful. All of you have beautiful traits. You have beautiful challenges. You have things inside of you. You have knowledge. You have stories. You have places that make you who you are. And so those people, they'll like you for you. They will move in the way for you. They will be positive for you to be you. And so we let ourselves have that, and the rest of the things fall into place. We let ourselves be who we are. We let ourselves have permission to be who we are. The Most High God made you as a blessing, made you as a purpose. And so each day we will have challenges. We will have things that are not working in our favor. And it's inside of our mentality that the true test starts. And it's inside of our mentality that the true ability starts. And so are we focusing to that place where it takes that level of mentality to overcome our challenges? It takes that level of mentality to get to the place inside of ourselves where we are who we are inside. And it is inside of you that you will find it. It's inside of you that I found myself. It's inside of you that you focus to the point beyond your own challenges. And so focus to the point where knowledge becomes yours, where you become liberated inside, where, when I was sleeping in my van, it reminds me of when I was there and I found myself in a place where I had to be patient. You got to be patient with yourself. You got to be observant of yourself. You have to be aware of yourself. You have to look beyond your challenges. You have to see what really matters inside of you, that you have what it takes to be who you are, that it's a blessing for you to be who you are. It's a purpose for you to be who you are. And so what are the things that make you you, and how do you get through them? And each day that we do that is a part of this path, and the light starts to radiate from the point of where you are. It starts to radiate from the being in which we focus on. It comes from that place to where you go beyond it. It's when you focus to the place where you have what it takes. And so, are we focusing to that point? Are we giving ourselves that place? Are we getting down to those types of challenges to where it takes you being yourself? And so it is at that point in which we find who we are. It's at that point in which we search to the place inside of ourselves. It's at that point that we go to the beyond our challenges. And it's at that place that knowledge and focus becomes centered. It's at that place where we give ourselves permission to be who we are on the inside. And at the place of focus and knowledge lays discipline. At the place of focus and knowledge lays you. At the place of focus and knowledge lays your purpose. And it's inside of you that you will find it. It's inside of you that you become it. It's inside of you that you manifest it. And it takes you giving yourself that place. It takes you giving yourself that kind of understanding. It takes you becoming who you are on the inside. And each day that we do that for ourselves, we go beyond our own challenges. And it's inside of you that you are fighting yourself. And so find yourself inside. Find that person inside. Find that place, that challenge, that being inside of you. Start to understand your energy. Start to understand your purpose. Start to understand your path, your journey. And start to understand that you can overcome your challenges. And it all comes from within you to overcome those challenges. It comes from within you to face off against those types of things, to get to that place inside of you where you have what it takes. And if we focus to that point, if we get to that place where we focus beyond those types of challenges, where we give ourselves that kind of understanding, where we become that kind of reflection, if we focus to that point where we are who we are in the inside, then this world becomes a more beautiful place. If we become who we truly are, if we go to that point where we face off against those kinds of challenges, where what we have going on inside is that place for you, then what you face off against is yourself. And so the only battle that we're truly facing off against is who we are. We're truly facing off against who we are on the inside. We're facing off against what we our mentality. We're facing off against that part of ourselves. We're looking for somebody else to achieve something for ourselves. Why? Search it out inside of you. Search it out in the place where you want to be. The person that you want to be. The challenges that you want to face off against are there for you. They're not meant to stop you. And so if you light up this world with that kind of understanding, if you light up this world with that kind of being, if you light up this world with that kind of purpose, if what you have inside is that great to where you have what it takes to be who you are, to face off against those things that only you can, then you will find a way to be who you are on the inside. If you can light up the world to that level, if you can put yourself in a place where, everything is taken from you, and, you can go beyond your challenges to see your manifestation, your being, your light, your purpose, your path, your journey, your being will light up in this universe. It will light up at such a way that it goes beyond it. It will light up in such a way that you have what it takes. It will light up in such a way that you are who you are on the inside. And so are we who we are truly? Are we who we are on the inside? Are we writing this type of stuff down? Are we putting ourselves in a place where we are achieving our purpose, where we're achieving our dreams, where we're getting to the point where our goals start to become possible? Are we getting to the place where our understanding is starting to happen, where our reflection is starting to radiate, where our being is starting to be who we truly are on the inside? And so each day that we focus to that point where we are who we are, where we are truly being ourselves, then we face off against challenges that nobody else can. And in that, we can become greater than anyone else was. And that is for you to be yourself, is for you to be who you are on the inside. And so, where are you in the world today? What challenges have you faced off against today? What places do you want to go today? This mentality can help you. This ability can help you. The ability for you to be who you are can help you. The person that you are inside can help you. You got to believe in you. You got to believe in your ability to be who you are. And it's only going to be inside of you that you will find it. It's only going to be inside of you that you will believe in who you are. And at that point is when you're disciplined. And when you realize that you are disciplined, then the reflection will radiate light outwards. The being will radiate light. And as that light radiates, as that light inspires, as that light gives a reflection, as that light gives a place, as that light gives a purpose, that light has permission to shine, so will you shine. So will you shine from within you. So will the beauty inside of you radiate light outwards. So will people see you for you. So will people accept you for you. So will people care for you for you. And it's when you care about yourself, when you care about your being, when you care about your purpose, when you care about your path, that the light starts to radiate. It's when you say, no, I'm going to sit down and talk. It's when you sit down and you say, no, I'm going to sit down and do meditation. It's when you sit down and you say, no, I'm going to sit down and sing. It's when you sit down and you say, no, I'm going to sit down and talk or write or listen to positivity. It's when you sit down with yourself that the student starts to become one with the teacher. And that is the page that we all live on. We just ignore ourselves from that page. We ignore ourselves from our own inspiration. We ignore ourselves from our own mind. And we ignore ourselves from our own level of positivity. We ignore ourselves from our own purpose, our own path, our own journeys. We ignore ourselves from the ability to be who we are on the inside. And so are we focusing to that point? Are we giving ourselves that kind of a place to where we give ourselves that kind of permission to be who we are on the inside? And it's asking ourselves that type of question. It's asking ourselves, how do we get there for who we are on the inside, that we start to radiate light outwards? Have you asked yourself that question? Have you gotten to that page where, what challenges you face off against, you overcome for you? Because when you do that for yourself, when you give yourself that place where you are who you are on the inside and that light starts to radiate outwards, you will start to have to study you. You will have to start to become disciplined to the point. And as you do that, as you give yourself that place, others will see you as your light. They will see you for your path. They will see you for your purpose. They will see you for your journey. And it's inside of that the people that are meant for you start showing up. It's inside of that the people that are meant for you start helping you. It's inside of that the people who care about you start to radiate light towards you, and they will bring you closer to yourself. They will bring you closer to who you are. They will bring you closer to your ability to be that beautiful person that you are on the inside. And it's up to you to see it for yourself. It's up to you to give yourself that kind of permission to be who you are. Because each day that you do that for you, each day that you give yourself that, each day that you say, let's do this, let's achieve this, let's become this, let's light up in this world, let's see this inspiration, let's see this mentality, each day that you liberate your mind to that level is a day worth living. And your life is worth it. Your being is worth it. Your purpose is worth it. And each day that you do that for you, that you truly do that within you, that you get to that place where nobody else can go, where what you have going on no longer has an ability to stop you, that's when you overcome your challenges. And so each challenge that we face off against is not greater than who we are on the inside. Who you are on the inside is a light. You are an inspiration. You are a story. You have a path. You have a purpose. You have challenges. Embrace your challenges. Embrace your focus to the level where your knowledge is freed, where your knowledge becomes your light, where your knowledge becomes your teacher in the dark, where your knowledge becomes your best friend, where your being has its place, it has its purpose, where you have what it takes inside of you, and at that level where your focus is you, where your place is you, where your challenges no longer have the ability to stop you, is when you become who you are on the inside. At that place of focus to where the things that you face off against no longer stop you, is when the light starts to radiate. It's when the light starts to no longer burn you. It starts to work for you. It starts to work with you. Because that's the only thing that we face off against is ourselves. It's the only thing that we face off against daily. It's the only thing that other people try to change you. It's when you see things that are positive for you. It's when you start doing things for yourself. It's when you start to be who you are on the inside, and you allow that kind of light to radiate outwards, that the blessings start showing up. It's when you search out for things that are bringing you closer to yourself. It's when you are getting down with those who no longer have the ability to stop you from being who you are on the inside, that the inspiration starts to radiate outwards. And it's up to you to find it for yourself. It's up to you to see the people that are there for you, and the ones that want to be in your life, and they want you to be a light in the universe. It's inside of yourself that you lay. It's inside of you that your energy is. It's inside of you that your focus is. And it's inside of you that your being radiates light outwards. What a level of focus is it to hit a place of inspiration? What a level of discipline it is to find oneself. What a level of being is it to be present inside of ourselves. Each day, each week, each month, you're worth it. Your day is worth it. Your week is worth it. And so we focus to that place to where what we have inside is that. Who we are, each part of who we are is inside of us. Each part of who we are